Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. Today we are taking a look at this massive box which was sent to me by Warcradle Studios for review. This is the Union Faction Battle Group Starter Set, which is a massive box that just gives you everything you need to start playing the game if you're interested in the Union Faction. For those of you already familiar with Warcradle products, this box is even taller, I should say, than all the other boxes, the big fleet boxes that they have released so far. So yeah, truly big. It did get damaged slightly in shipping, but sadly that is out of control of Warcradle Studios. Now this is meant to be an out-of-the-box experience that you can just hop into the game and not have to buy anything, so it comes with the full rulebook that I've already reviewed on the channel, so definitely check out that video if you haven't yet. It also comes with a Command and Conquest deck, which is used for bravery tests and everything during the game, as well as power-ups. There will actually be a battle report coming soon to the channel, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to see that one, and give this video a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing as well. The box does not come with any build instructions, but there is a pamphlet inside with a QR code that will take you to the website where you can actually find all the different build instructions for the models inside. It also comes with plenty dice. This game uses a proprietary dice system, but if you get 24 of them, you've got plenty. The biggest attack I've seen so far is 17 dice, so the 24 provided should be plenty. There's of course a massive bag of resin, which is the big landship, which is a train for the Union, and a bunch of different plastic sprues as well. These are the bases that you can put your infantry and smaller vehicles onto. You get a grand total of 8 of those. You also get a sprue with some tokens that you can use in game for objectives. I've already painted up some of these, along with a turn template that is used for the train, and some measuring sticks as well, which is always useful, especially because they sort of fold down in an accordion. In addition, you also get a turn tracker, because it doesn't come with D6s, so you need another tool to track them if you don't have it already, but they've included that one. And on top of everything you find here, you also get a couple of sprues for terrain. I already have a review up for how those work as well on the channel, so again, I'll link that video in the description below. These are some example buildings that I have made with this set. It is incredibly modular. There's still some details that needs to be added to the building, such as smokestacks and antennas and cranes and everything, but it sort of gives you an idea of what to expect in size, because if you're jumping into a new 10mm system, you'll want some terrain, and not everyone has that ready at hand, so it's great that they've provided that in this box too. And finally, to round things off when it comes to the game elements in there, you get 2 of these sheets which have different tokens for different statuses that your units can have in the game. And if you flip them over, they actually have a handy little wound counter system as well, with plenty of 1 and 2 wounds, because those are by far the most common, and less of the 10 to 15 wounds, because that's only really applicable for the big landships. And apart from those gaming aids, we are of course getting sprues, massive amounts of sprues, because you get 4 of each type. The first type is the infantry sprue, along with a transport vehicle that we'll be taking a closer look at in a minute. And you also get 4 of these sprues, which are made for the more heavily armored element, which comes with your main battle tank on it, along with the large artillery pieces, some mechs, and some extra cavalry on it. Now let's check out what the big landship is all about. There's plenty of sprues in this little baggie. I'll just flop them over onto the table like this, and now we can see what is inside. There seem to be a couple of main parts of it, which are the top parts of the carriages. As you can see, you get 3 of those. Those are one-piece molds, I can see, with a perfect flat end. So you only really have to do a bit of cleanup on the sides for the mold lines down at the bottom, because in the top there's absolutely no mold lines as well, because it's just one piece. They don't have to pry it open. And it comes with a couple of holes already pre-drilled, if you will, for 5mm magnets, it seems. And then there's some small holes that will take some gun turrets in there as well. You do have to be careful, because these seem to have a front and back side, but yeah, those are some very clean bits of cast that will not require a lot of extra. Now you get 3 of these carriages. The game rules allow them to be pulled by up to 4 I believe, for the biggest land ships, so you can always expand your train even by getting additional sets. Now these are pulled by the main locomotive, of course, found in the front, which will need a few extra parts such as the small miniguns in the side and a gun turret in the center. And again, it's a one-piece cast, so you will have to do a bit of cleanup on the side by scraping along to sort of get a clean edge there, but that's not a massive amount of work. What is a bit, or what would be a bit of extra work, are these parts. They do have some more visible mod lines, but that doesn't really matter because, well, you glue those parts I showed earlier on top of that. You do want to clean up the flash here at the bottom where it stands on there, but as you can see, that more prominent mold line isn't shown at all once it is installed, and it still sits nice and flush. So I don't think I'm gonna be, fixing that area too much. And then the small areas, or rather the front and end bits, sort of cap it off. So you're not really noticing any of that. Now when you cap it off, you do have to install these things. Those are the power coupling. You've got the ones that go into the middle, but you also have an end bit here, and that sprue also comes with that little turret that goes in front of the main carriage. Now these have a certain amount of flex to them and already have holes drilled into them as well. The first installation guide mentioned 2x1mm magnets, but that doesn't look like 2x1 to my eye at least. With a quick bit of editing, I got my stack of different sizes of magnets, and I have the top are 2x1s, and then I've also got some 3x1s. Those are the same ones that I use, by the way, for the undersides of my bases. And yeah, that's a clean fit. You need the 3x1s, not 2x1s, which is good news because, well, I can only recommend the 3x1s to move your models around on the board and to transport them anyway. I'm not gluing those down straight away because that's just a nightmare to get your polarities mixed up. I will be showing you how to magnetize that at the second half of the video, so don't worry about that if you do not have any experience with it. You do not technically have to magnetize them, it's just sort of satisfying that it clicks together when you put your little cards up. You get two of these sprues, it seems, so you're left with one gun barrel too many, but that does mean that you cannot make a bunch of interconnecting carriages with the set that you get. You will need to use one end cap on those sprues. And then finally you get a sprue that has resin turrets on there, meaning you don't really have to use anything on the plastic sprues other than the possible arc turret, so that's nice to see that you technically can make whatever you want with your other tanks found in this set. And those small little miniguns, well, they go into the little holes that I've already showed. There seem to be 2 extras in there, which is always nice in case you drop one, but I suppose I would rather have had an extra power coupling to connect up as well. And then when the undersides of the carriages are concerned, you basically get the 3 that you need, and then the tall one for the locomotive, along with that final end cap that you will also need to fix onto the end there. Now, moving on to the different plastic sprues. And the first one we're coming across is the one for the main battle tank because, well, you still have some parts that you could use on your train should you so desire. The main battle tank seems to come in 4 major parts, but it then also comes with this little plastic turret that you probably will need to shave down a bit if you're using magnets to install in there, because that doesn't quite sit flush with the end bit. If you're just dropping it in, it's great that it sticks out a bit, but if you're using magnets you will have to do a bit of cutting as well. And then that part takes either this traditional gun front, I should say, and then these rockets as well if you want to make the anti-infantry variant, or if you want to go for the arc weapon you have to glue that one in. So that will be trickier to magnetize, but I'm sure it's doable by some people. And then finally the end bit of the carriage either holds some of these hatches that can be found on this sprue, or it can hold some of these generators. That's this part here. As you can see, it has this square drop-in where you can drop in an arc generator if you want to make an arc tank, obviously. But if you decide against that and you want to build another variant, you can either use this closed hatch seen here, or this open hatch if you want to install a tank commander to sort of denote that this is an officer model rather than just using a little flag. I'm sure this is also magnetizable, but I'm not going to be too fussed with this because this is more of a demo force for me and not my main army. The other parts that we can see on here are these rather large parts that will take the artillery, I suppose. This large carriage found here, along with that big semicircle, is going to form the basis of that one. And then there's a bunch of extra wheels on there as well. All these little arms that you can see are going to be making up the mech parts, and I suppose those are the main bodies for it. There are 4 main bodies found on this sprue, so yeah, you can make a nice little squadrons of the megs as well. In addition, you also get these 5 cavalry bits that will have a this front attached to it, and then 2 of these side pieces to sort of cover up the sides as well, because they have these yeah, little extruding parts. Now the one thing is there's a bit of undercut on these Tesla bots. I'm not sure if I can fix that by scraping it away, but I'll give it a go at least, and if not, I'll just have to hide that a bit by doing a paint job so that it's not too obvious. Moving on now to the infantry sprue as well. The first model that immediately caught my eye was this guy with the great coat, which is, I suppose, your main commander. It also comes with these more heavy infantry, the pacifiers, and different weapon teams. You can see a rocket team and a Gatling gun team here as well, which have different loaders found across the sprue as well. You should be able to make 2 bases of pacifiers with this, and then 1 of each team. Speaking of teams, this is a Tesla bot actually with arc weaponry, which is the 3rd option for the weapon teams. And then you've got this big cow catcher, which is going to go onto your troop transport, which is either the Ironhide or the Lamplighter. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the turret bit that turns it into the Lamplighter. Not sure how easy that is to magnetize, but we'll give it a go. You also get the rotary cannon that is included in here, along with its wheels. And yeah, there's a nice little officer model here as well. Very sharp detail. You will always have to clean up a bit of mold lines as well on them, but I find that it is incredibly easy to do on these 10mm models because, well, even if you miss it slightly, it's not going to be too obvious. But I would run your craft blade across it just to clean the majority of it off to enhance your paint job. And speaking of the paint job, I will of course be posting a step-by-step guide, because 10mm can be a bit imposing for some people. Moving on to how I assembled the train, this is an example of what you can see. You want to be careful with where you apply your super glue, because these coupling parts actually slide into a hole for these end caps. And you want to make sure that you get this part right. One of them has to be sort of magnet facing down, and one of them has to be magnet facing up, so they can interconnect. It doesn't matter if you're actually using the magnets or not, because this is how it actually moves in the gameplay. But that does mean that you sort of have to be having your wits about you when you're assembling this model, because that means that you're going to have a clear front part and a clear back parts to the carriage. I suggest that you first assemble those different couplings so that you know which is going to be the front part, because the big pieces on the top of it are going to have to be glued accordingly. I usually suggest that you start with this one, because as you can see, this is the front door, this is the back door in there. It also makes the hatch line up better at the top, and I suggest that you glue the part down now so that it neatly sticks together, and then glue on the other end cap so that you can put in your next coupling, again with the magnet side facing down, so that you can attach the next card into the whole system. You do have to be careful when you're using super glue onto all of this to not just get super glue into that coupling mechanism, but also you don't have a lot of working time with it, so be wary of that. I did have to pull apart the top part because it grabbed too quickly. As you can see, there's quite a bit of jiggle room in the end, and all that is left to do now is to install the magnets. I suggest that you always stick one bit of magnet to one side so you know which polarity you keep using consistently, and then do all of the parts that actually have the magnet facing down with the same polarity, and just go about it with all of them. So as you can see, all of these end bits, if you will, of the cards will need to have the same polarity installed into them, or it simply will not work. And of course the end bit here is the one that will not need a magnet installed. And only after you've installed all of the magnets that are facing down would I suggest that you install the magnets that are facing up. An example can be seen here. A little trick I can do is I swap the magnets around in my stack. If they are repelling like this, you can instantly see that they are repelling because this one immediately plonks back up. That is the side that you want to glue down into the hole of your next coupling. Because if they're repelling like this, they will start attracting once you glue that side of it down like this. Just install a bit of super glue, let it cure a bit, and then carefully slide the rest of the magnets off, because well, the magnetic pull of these things is so strong that it will actually break the super glue hold if it's not properly cured yet. But once everything is neatly coupled together, you will get a bit of a repulsion until you get it right, and then click, everything just comes together neatly like that. It's not quite strong enough to pull the model along in game, but that's not really how it works either way. If your table is perhaps a gaming mat, it will slide along smooth enough, but if it's a rough surface, a textured surface such as mine, you are going to have to do the decoupling afterwards. But again, the rules are written in such a way that it doesn't really matter, because that's how you have to do it. So it's sort of neat that it couples together, but 3x1, not the strongest connection that you can get out of it, and surely not enough to pull this heavy model along for the ride, so to speak. I've also gone ahead and installed some magnets at the top, as you can see here. Didn't have to drill anything out whatsoever. It was just a simple case of dropping a 5x1mm magnet in there, and all that remains doing is getting the turrets on there and those little miniguns. I do have a comparison with the other landship from the Crown, as you can see here. This thing is a massive whopper, because in grand total with the 3 cards it measures up to 12 inches, which is quite a large bit, and you can actually couple a 4th card on there. So if you're going to be deploying this model, you might actually have to do so in a zigzag fashion if you decide to buy a second set to make the most out of it. It doesn't seem like a bad idea though, because then you can do all the configurations that you want. The carriage itself, or I should say the locomotive, is a fair bit smaller, of course, compared to the other landships, but in the end it is a very imposing model, and it's sort of very cool to see how Warcradle Studios isn't just defaulting to it's going to be a basic landship for every single faction. It makes me very excited to see what they can do for the other landships in there. The beta Orbat for this version has a lot of different rules in there for how to use this one. For instance, these gun carriages do not have a traditional front arc. You can interchange them and turn them out as you see fit, because they actually have to fire from the sides, because the sides of these carrots actually count as front arcs for most of the other games. So the rules for this are long, but fairly straightforward and easy to apply. That was it for this review though. I hope you liked it, and good luck magnetizing this massive beast, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye!